another author, Dr. Mutwasze. Dr. Mutwasze, how are you this evening?
I'm good, baby.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it. Thank you so much for joining us on the Women's Song Community Experience. I was hoping that you would share with us the body of work that you've created called the Immortality Guide. Could you tell us about that work, please?
Yeah, actually, I call it the Immortal Nigga. Subtitle, the Immortality Guide. And first, props out there to having the show and the you and your husband. That title is dope. Occupy the Library. He right. Stealing some of that mojo. I like that. When we steal back from them, that's good to me.
That's right.
So, George M. James had a book out, which I would like to recommend before I recommend my own book, called They Stole It, but We Must Steal It Back. And, it's an older book, and it deals in a lot, talks about our legacy and how it was stolen and so on and so forth, and the different educational things that we need to do to reclaim what's rightfully ours.
Right.
So I've always been for that, and that's one of the things that inspired me to write the book, which is, and I'm a folk doctor. I like to be clear about that, and I'm from the South, and our history, my father was doing this, his father before him was doing this, which is basically folk doctoring, folks, using herbs, oranges, apples, anything that was around in the environment that could be used for healing. So this has always been in black people's legacy, but, we kind of got away from that for real. And
that's
so
right.
Writing the book, for me, was first, that's what inspired it, and then what transpired was a series of days, events, and years, and I started writing this book about how we can get back to healing ourselves naturally. And the overriding thing was that most of the research out here that deals with healing, while a lot of it does overlap and it sounds good, and they put out the studies from PubMed to Johns Hopkins or whoever you want to read about, it's not really for black people. You see what I'm saying? They're always trying to fit black people as far as our healing and how we need to heal into a European model, and it doesn't work.
That's right.
That's right.
It doesn't work. So you can find some, like I say, some overlap and some things hit, but the more I looked at this, the more I felt I had a responsibility to put out a book that was written in real plain language, because always I'm dumb. So I have to read almost Jack and Jill, Dr. Seuss. I like my words real short. I don't like long, complicated sentences, things that I can understand. I want a book out there, so when I'm looking at it and reading it, it would be real simple to understand, and we use a lot of everyday things that people know that it's possible for them to get.
Right.
So that was the main reason why I wanted to write the book, because when you look at, they have a lot of tests out here, like the diabetes thing. They tell you your blood pressure, your glucose level needs to be somewhere between 120 and 180 to be normal. Yeah, you're white. If you're European, cool. Go ahead and take that test, because it's really set up for them. But the black bloodstream has a higher requirement for glucose, higher requirement for sodium, a higher requirement for even water. So cholesterol, we have a higher requirement for all the main nutrients and minor nutrients in the entire body, all the way down to calcium, what they call calcium, and strontium, which you don't hear about, in the bones. So when a black woman goes into a doctor's office talking about she feels like she may have some osteoporosis, and he gives her a test, it's not going to really be that accurate, because the test is really set up for the density of the European white woman. So he's going to fool around and put on a drug or something trying to bring her density up, and it's just going to thin the bones out, and really she wind up getting osteopenia and osteoporosis a lot faster. Best move is to stay off the drugs and don't give those to her at all. So they really don't know how to treat us. So that's one of the main reasons I wrote the book, because I wanted the book to be out there that black folks could read, that deal with the black bloodstream exclusively, and in particular, how we need to eat, how we need to exercise, all of that's in there. Even spiritual aspects are in this book.
Mm-hmm.
They're just rites. I mean, there are rites of passage in the book that people for children, for example.
This is
Right.
interesting because this is what one of my Occupy a Library movement objectives is we want our people in our community to demand that our library, to request that our libraries purchase your book. Just think
Right.
if every library in every black community had a copy of the Immortal Guide, you know, how much that would be beneficial, at least 2 copies, so that everybody would have access to the research that Dr. Mutwasze has put together. And so you don't have to necessarily have met him or know somebody that met him through BTR or through Facebook, but that his book can be, his technology, his research will be accessible to his people easier without him having to necessarily spend more time and energy advertising. And that our people would carry the ball the rest of the course so that his knowledge would be more readily available to us all.
Right, absolutely. I'm definitely interested in the part about the rites of passage. We've discussed that quite a bit, needing to have that in our community. But anyway, I'm sorry, I won't cut you off. I just wanted to say that.
No. I mean, you know, most places I go, and I don't really go on that many shows anyway. I'm sitting back listening, so I just appreciate the 5 minutes or whatever to get the information out, because I think that's one of the main things that's killing black people is that we're being treated wrong, and it's a shame that society is set up in such a way that black people have been convinced that a white man in a white smock with 5 letters behind his name is the best person to take care of them. Now, for some white folks, they say that sounds racist, but really, you know, my children came from me and their mama. I want them taught by somebody that looks like them. That's just me. I don't know how other people feel. I want them treated by somebody who understands what it means to be a black man or a black woman. In America, all these things are, you know, it's not healing. It's not just giving a person some pills. It's a very spiritual affair. You know,
right.
So when we go in, we need to see. It would help to see somebody that look like you that could possibly understand, you know, why you're sick, because you don't have a job.
Right.
You know? All these different type of things that you really can't, that don't show up on any test, are very indigenous to why a person could be sick, psychosomatic. So these things come into play, and I think it's very important that they be addressed, and how we need to start not only taking our culture back, but taking our health back as well.
Right. Awesome. Okay. And where can we get your book?
I just posted a link for those who may be in the chat room. I'm the Manifestation. I posted a link in the chat room, www.thepeoples, that's peoples with an S, thepeopleshealer.com. You can get the book at that website. And when you go to the website, I have another book out that I'm writing called Hood Laws. It's in the works and should be finished probably in about 90 to 120 days.
Okay. Outstanding. Brother Mean, did you have anything you wanted to share with Dr. Mutwasze?
I was just listening, and I thought it was interesting what he said. This was something we used to argue about in the military. For the time I was in the military, we always, the black folks were always bigger. And so what they would do is they had weight guidelines that we had to go by. I weighed at that time maybe 240, but I was always on the overweight list, but I wasn't overweight, and because I was supposed to weigh 180 according to them. So I've seen that type of thing, and I was wondering if that type of thing was in your book.
Well, you know, it's indirectly in there because the spirit of what you're talking about, I was in the military too, and we had what they call the Fat Boy program.
Yeah, that was it.
That's the one? All right, I was in the Air Force. So, and I was a cat that was signed to actually help the fat boys allegedly, lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing: inside the book, there are like 200 points. You know, they're like short chunks of information, and you'll find within those information about how your bones are made, how the bones are different. You know what I mean? How you need to eat for the black bloodstream, that type of thing. You see, so and throughout the book, you'll find these little bits and pieces of that kind of like looks at the black body from the ground up.